So I was sitting up here, just doing a little meditation and breathing and contemplating, and I had the pleasure of being joined by the beautiful Alia Yarrow. And so now we're both up here, enjoying the sunset, overlooking our valley. And one of the things that I've been thinking about, and we've thought about quite often, is the third pillar, what we're calling the third pillar of ecocentric evolution. And the ecocentric evolutionary process, at least at this stage in its developmental process, is this collective transition from one worldview to the next. Our current egocentric separate self worldview cannot take us into the future. It's losing its capacity to elicit possibilities, right? To allow us to imagine a meaningful existence into the future. And that's because the possibilities of a meaningful existence into the future under this current collective worldview is diminishing at an alarming rate, and so a new worldview is necessitating itself to be born. We have to collectively transition to a new perspective, a new way of seeing life. Yes. And this is a new and an old way. Like, it's a return to something so deeply rooted in who we are as human beings. And also it's a new emergent possibilities that is arising out of everything that has been, right? We are in a new moment in time. We are standing at the edge of this collective evolutionary journey. And so we feel like there's this need to scaffold a evolutionary transition for us as a human species, which fundamentally is a shift in worldview perspective. And we think that takes place in that scaffolding is threefold in nature, that there are three primary pillars of this ecocentric evolutionary process. And the third pillar, the one we want to mention just briefly here as we're in a really beautiful moment in space, is the reanimation of the more than human world.
Yes. And why we see this as essential to ecocentric evolution meaning an impulse towards life-sustaining and life-enhancing conditions, that the earth herself moved towards more complexification and more diversity, moves towards conditions that sustain and enhance life. And so this ecocentric evolutionary impulse lives in us as life, as human life as well. And the reanimation of the more than human world, this third pillar of ecocentric evolution, is essential because it is really what sources the whole thing with meaning, with reason why. If the more than human world was not animate, if it was inanimate, if it didn't have spirit, if it didn't have life in it, then whatever is happening to it would be okay. The destruction and the degradation, the exploitation, the extraction of the earth, the fact that we're living through the sixth mass extinction where 125 to 200 species of plants and animals are going extinct every day. If the earth was not animate, if those lives did not matter, if that was not a sacred thing, then we could all look away and life could continue on in this human sort of fabricated virtual reality that we're creating for ourselves. But the truth of the matter is that we believe, and it is deeply held in so many cultural traditions around the world, that all life, it does matter and it is sacred because it informs the webs of relationality, of deep relationality that hold and have given birth to the human being, and that actually in seen and unseen ways are what sustains the human life and human experience all on its own. And not just because of its usefulness to us, the fact that it's essential to human life that we live on, but also because each creature, plant and animal that exists is a unique seed or symbol of its divine entity that fits within a larger ecosystem of the web and family of life that can never be replaced. And in that way, it is inherently sacred and meaningful.
Thank you, Alia. That was really beautiful. And the simplest way I like to think about it is we're simply giving life back to life. That we've really been in this experiment of dissecting the world. And in order to run our experiments, in order to run our economies, in order to explore our power as human beings, we separated ourselves from the sacredness of life, allowing ourselves to dominate life, to extract, to take apart, to dissect, to destroy. And it's a moment in time when we can wake up and realize the mistake that we've made, that we've been numbing ourselves out of our deep relationships with the wild world around us, and that numbing out is destroying who we are as human beings, and is destroying our capacities and possibilities to live and to create a more beautiful world in the future. And so this is what we're inviting here, is a simple way of re-encountering the more than human other, to giving life back to life and reweaving ourselves back into the deep relationality of this life experience. Because that is central, that is the reality of what is. And so it's time to honor the relationships again, to really allow them to be relationships and healthy relationships, so that we can all co-evolve together on this beautiful shared planet of ours. And so if we want to imagine future possibilities, if we want to think about what we could become, if we want to talk about meaning and purpose and the potential of the human being, none of that is possible without first having a animate world around us and using our capacities, our amazing gifts that were given to us out of the Earth's own evolutionary process, that we did nothing to create for ourselves. That from that recognition, we must have an animate world. We must reanimate life. We must give life back to life, or else no future is possible for us here on the planet.
Yes. And so we're sitting here, the sun is about to move past this mountain range, and there's so many invitations for what that means and looks like in each of our lives, big and small ways, to give life back to life, to animate life with our time and our attention, with our care and our presence. Right now, we're going to engage in a simple practice of meditating with the sun and giving gratitude and presence and awareness to this incredible force of energy, the sun that offers its warmth and its light that helps all of us be able to thrive and emerge and blossom in our own unique ways.
Yes. So that is a simple invitation, is to be present with what is. Notice the sunset, notice the wind, and allow it to speak to you deeply, to move you in a new way. And give yourself that permission to be moved by the relationships of life around you. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this short little video.
Yes, take care.
Be well.
Be well.